Kaitlyn Hunt was offered a plea deal. If you guys can remember, she's the 18-year-old that was having a relationship with a 15-year-old girl from her high school. They were on the same athletics team. And the 15-year-old's parents decided to prosecute her as a result of the relationship. Of course, since she's 18, she can be charged with lewd and lascivious conduct with someone between the ages of 12 and 16. So anyway, she was offered a plea deal by state prosecutors. And under the plea deal, she would get 2 years of house arrest, she would get probation, and she would also be charged, if she pled guilty, of course, to child abuse as opposed to, having sex with a minor. She decided to reject that plea deal.
Drums.
Yes.
Okay, so we wanted her to reject it. We wanted her to fight it all the way, but we're not in her family. And if you're in her family, you got to be incredibly nervous, man. She could get 15 years. That's why JR was like, take the deal. You never know. The government's crazy.
It's really a lose-lose situation, because if she had taken the plea deal, it would have very negative implications for her career, because you are convicted of child abuse, and as a result, you cannot have certain jobs. So it would destroy her future. Plus, at 18, to spend 2 years under house arrest would be disastrous, okay? Because at 18, you should be going to college, you should be, establishing yourself, and it's impossible to do it if you're under house arrest. And by the way, house arrest for doing nothing wrong. I mean, look, you can have an argument about what the age of consent should be, what the Romeo and Juliet law should be. There are certain Romeo and Juliet laws that allow like a 4-year difference in age. So people who are 18 don't get prosecuted for being in a relationship for someone younger than them. But the reason why people are under house arrest, or the reason why people are sent to prison, is because they're a threat to society. In this case, can we just show her picture again? All right. 18-year-old Kaitlyn Hunt, not a threat to society. There's no reason why she should spend any time in jail or 2 years under house arrest.
Yes, Anna, but what if she were to seduce your daughter? Okay, and that's in reality, of course, what this is about. They think she's a threat, mainly because the parents of her girlfriend didn't like her, very likely because she was lesbian, right?
Yeah. And
had started going out with her daughter. They might want to look inward, but that's a whole different story. Now, look, here's a reality. Janarlo Wilson was a 17-year-old in Atlanta, or near Atlanta, and he was 17 years old, had sex with a 15-year-old, oral sex. He got convicted for 10 years, wound up spending 2 years in prison, okay? And screwed up his life in a big, big way. Was he absolutely right that he should not have been convicted? Of course. He also wouldn't take the plea deal, right? And he didn't want to admit to anything that he thought he didn't do, right? And I love him for it, and we supported him all the way. He's finally out of prison now. He got released around 2009, I believe, after the Supreme Court said his punishment was cruel and unusual. But he spent 2 long years in prison, right? Now, in this case, Kaitlyn is 100% right. 18 and 14-year-olds, or I was going to say there's 14 and 15, they keep changing, right?
It's really, really frustrating because there are so many conflicting reports, right? But let's report it as if it's the worst case scenario and she started dating the 15-year-old when she had already turned 18, right? Because they seem to have started dating like right before she turned 18, and as soon as she turned 18, the parents allegedly went to authorities right then and there.
The bottom line is she was a senior on the basketball team and her girlfriend was a freshman on the basketball team.
Yeah, there's a 3 years difference. 3-year difference, and that's pretty much it. Let's keep it real.
And so if she committed this so-called crime and the law is against her, she could easily lose, right? And so that's why I'm really worried about it, even though we think it's insane that a senior dating a freshman in high school gets you a criminal sentence, right? But in the case of Janarlo Wilson, when he did that, despite the fact that they changed the law after that case because of how egregious it was, it did not apply to him because they said we changed the law after you got convicted.
Right.
So if she fights and she gets the law changed so that it's more reasonable, she might serve a lot of time in prison anyway. So as someone who's in her family, you got to be so worried about that. On the other hand, she can't even spend time with her sister if she gets convicted of child abuse.
Exactly.
It's insanity, right?
I feel torn on it. I don't feel torn on it. I didn't think that she should take the plea deal. I'm glad that she didn't take the plea deal. But at the same time, of course, I'm tremendously nervous for her. This is Florida. You know, Florida's pretty conservative. So who knows what these state prosecutors are going to do. It seems like they're really out to get her. Anonymous is getting involved in this. And that also makes me a little worried because it's all hunky-dory when Anonymous goes after bullies, and I love it, and I love what Anonymous is doing in this particular case. But I'm very curious to see how it plays out when Anonymous goes against the law, when Anonymous is fighting state prosecutors, because I feel like these state prosecutors are so motivated to go after Kaitlyn Hunt that having Anonymous push for something is actually going to put them over the edge, and they're going to push harder. I don't know. That's my take on it.
On the other hand, the prosecutors seem frustrated she didn't take the deal. Like, prosecutors are used to breaking people's backs, being like, aha, you know what, we got so much more money than you. Unless, of course, it's a banker, and the banker has more money, and the prosecutor's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, right? Now, so in this case, they're like, what the hell, man? Were we not merciful? We were going to convict her, but of a lesser charge. And the prosecutor seemed like he was really upset she didn't take the deal. She's like, well, all right, we're going to trial. But I also got the sense from that quote that they were a little worried about going to trial, that it's a waste of taxpayer money, and you're going to go through this whole long process to what? Take that dangerous girl off the streets, as you were alluding to in the beginning? It's ridiculous, right? And they don't have a great case anyway, and the jury might not convict, so there might come a day where they offer a different plea deal.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that does happen, you know, and hopefully it'll be a little more appealing than what they originally offered. I don't want to see her go through, you know, a court case. It's going to be disastrous. I get really nervous about the fact that it's in Florida.
Yeah, so what could happen is they could reduce it to what is, in essence, the equivalent of a traffic ticket, so less than a misdemeanor, and they could say, all right, and 500 hours of community service.
Yeah.
She'd be like, all right, I'm a good person anyway, fine, I don't mind doing community service.
Ugh,
and that's the deal that they could make, and I hope they do make. Now, what should be the law, I think that if you're under 16, somebody can't have sex with you if they're 5 years older than you, okay? I think anybody over the age of 16 should be allowed to have sex. A lot of people would disagree. They think that a lot of people think, and a lot of states think, it should be 18. I think 16 is 3 years past puberty. You can't stop 16-year-olds from having sex anyway. Making it criminal doesn't necessarily help the situation. At least 3 years past puberty. And if you're under 16, like a 15-year-old, but you're dating an 18-year-old who's a senior in your high school, that's not criminal, that's insane.
So let me give you a scenario. If the age of consent were lowered to 16 and there's a 16-year-old girl dating a 30-year-old guy, that wouldn't make you uncomfortable?
So that the age of consent is 16,
yes.
She is 16.
Yeah.
Whether I'm uncomfortable or not is besides the point.
Right.
Right?
So you think that it's okay, though?
Yes.
You would be comfortable making that change to the law and seeing a 16-year-old girl date a 30-year-old man?
Whatever the age of consent is, she could date an 84-year-old.
Jesus.
Okay.
And I don't know why she'd want to, but okay.
No, I know. And so that's, a lot of people have a gut reaction to that, like, whoa, no, 16's too young. That's fair. We're all guessing as to what we think is the appropriate age, but I don't think so. I think 16's like, my God, we'd make kings out of 12-year-olds in the past.
I know, but that was the past, and we had some disastrous times in the past. But I mean, I just think of myself as a 16-year-old girl, and I was mature for my age at 16. And I was an idiot. Like, I made
but were you that much smarter at 18?
Yeah, I think I was. I was smart enough to dump the loser I was dating, so yeah, definitely.
Okay, and did the law make a difference in what you did or didn't do?
No. It did not.